Hi all, it's a brand new video on emails. So I'm going to discuss emails in detail. So what is an email? Email or electronic mail is a method of exchanging messages, mails using electronic devices. So email is a method of exchanging messages using electronic devices. And it is a common method of communication for internal office correspondence. Okay, so we have discussed about letters in our previous class about formal letters. So what are the difference between letters and emails? As you can see, letters are always more formal. The formal letters are always more formal, whereas emails are less formal. And letter starts with dear or dear with names like dear Neha or dear Arun, Adi, etc. Letter starts with dear, whereas in emails it often starts without a name or without even hello or hi. And letters are a permanent written record, whereas emails can be easily deleted. And letters tend to be longer, whereas emails are always brief. In letters, there are clear paragraph structure, but in emails, paragraphs tends to be shorter. And letters used as an internal correspondence, whereas emails, I told you, used or suitable for internal memos and messages, whereas letters used as external correspondence. Okay, so these are the common difference between letters and emails. Letters can be more formal, starts with dear, and it's permanent written record, and it tend to be longer, and it has clear paragraph structure, and it's used for external correspondence. Whereas emails, you have to focus on emails. So emails are less formal, they often starts without a name or without even hello or hi, and emails can be easily deleted. It is brief, emails are always brief, and paragraphs tend to be shorter, and it is used in internal correspondence. Okay, used as internal correspondence to share memos and messages within a company or an organization. Okay, so these are the common difference between letters and emails. Now moving into the format of an email, it's very important to know the format of an email. So what is the format? So in an email, the first thing is that you have to provide to address. To means to whom you are writing. So you have to provide the to first. So to means you have to provide the email address of the person to whom you are sending the email. So to is there. It is very important to fill the space. You have to provide the email address of the person to whom you are sending the mail. So to is there. Then CC is there, then BCC is there. So what is CC and what is BCC? Do you heard about CC and BCC? So CC means carbon copy, whereas BCC means blind carbon copy. So you have to be very clear about these things. CC means carbon copy and BCC means blind carbon copy. So did you heard about carbon copy? You see, back in the old days, we have a tradition to use carbon paper. Do you remember carbon papers? So when most communication was done through papers on papers, if you want to create a physical copy of a letter, what you have to do? You have to insert something. Insert what? Insert carbon paper between two sheets of papers. Do you remember that? Carbon paper. So when you insert a carbon paper between two sheets, whatever things that you wrote on the top sheet, that will be there in the other paper. Okay, so this tradition is carried forward into this electronic mail, and it is CC. So what is CC? So CC, so in the CC field in an email, what you have to provide is, in the CC field in an email, you have to provide the email address of a person to whom you are sending the carbon copy of this email. Okay, that means if you are sending a mail to a person, you will provide that person's email address into two. Whereas if you want to share the if you want to share the mail that you are sending that person to another person, you will provide the email address of that person into CC. അതായത് നിങ്ങൾ ഒരാൾക്ക് ഇമെയിൽ അയക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ആ മെയിലിൻ്റെ ഒരു കോപ്പി, ആ മെയിലിൻ്റെ ഒരു കാർബൺ കോപ്പി മീൻസ് അതിൻ്റെ സെയിം ഒറിജിനൽ കോപ്പി, അതിൻ്റെ കോപ്പി നിങ്ങൾ ആർക്കാണോ അയക്കുന്നത് അയാളുടെ ഇമെയിൽ അഡ്രസ്സാണ് CCയിൽ വരേണ്ടത്. ഓക്കെ, സോ the CC field in an email allows the sender to send a carbon copy of the email to someone apart from the recipient in the to field. So, do you get that? So, what is BCC? BCC means just like how CC works in an email, BCC actually used to send a carbon copy of the email to someone, but there is a difference between these two. In CC, if you are providing a CC, that recipient in the both to field and the CC field are able to see the email address of each other. Whereas if you provide a mail in BCC, that kept hidden. So recipient in the to and CC field are unable to see them. Okay, so നിങ്ങൾ ഒരാൾക്ക് ഒരു മെയിൽ അയക്കുകയാണ്, ആ മെയിലിൻ്റെ കോപ്പി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വേറൊരാൾക്ക് അയക്കണമെങ്കിൽ CCയിലും ആഡ് ചെയ്യാം, BCCയിലും ആഡ് ചെയ്യാം. CCയിലാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന അയാളെങ്കിൽ ആർക്കാണോ അയക്കുന്ന ടൂലുള്ള ആൾക്കും ടു അഡ്രസ്സിൽ, അതായത് റെസിപ്പിയൻറ്റിനും CCയിൽ ഉള്ള ആൾക്കും രണ്ട് പേർക്കും പരസ്പരം ഇമെയിൽ അഡ്രസ്സ് കാണാൻ പറ്റും. ആർക്കാണ് അയക്കുന്നതെന്നും ആരെയാണ് CCയിൽ ആഡ് ചെയ്തതെന്നും പരസ്പരം കാണാൻ പറ്റും. അതേസമയം നിങ്ങൾ BCCയിലാണ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ, ഒരാളുടെ ഇമെയിൽ അഡ്രസ്സ് BCCയിലാണ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ അയക്കുന്ന ഇമെയിലിൻ്റെ കോപ്പി അയാൾക്ക് കിട്ടുകയും ചെയ്യും, പക്ഷേ പരസ്പരം അവരറിയില്ല. BCCയിലുള്ള ആൾക്ക് മീൻസ് റെസിപ്പിയൻറ്റിന് കാണാൻ പറ്റില്ല BCCയിൽ ആരെയാണ് ആഡ് ചെയ്തതെന്നുള്ളത്. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ബ്ലൈൻഡ് കാർബൺ കോപ്പി. ആൻഡ് I hope you understood what is CC and BCC. Okay, then email also contains a subject line. That's very important. Subject line should be there. If the email is a reply, there should be always a default subject line, that is re means reply. So then there should be a salutation, or it's optional, a salutation is optional, and reason for writing, you have to provide the reason for writing. Then you have to give the main point, development of the main point, an additional point is there, then closing. These are optional. This development of the point, additional point and closing are optional, but you have to provide the two. And if you want to write the CC and BCC, you can provide that. Then subject line should be there, and salutation is optional, and reason for, you have to provide the reason for writing. Then you have to enter the write the main point, then development of the point, additional point and closing. These are the format of an email. Then there are some guidelines for writing emails. So what are the guidelines for writing emails? So it's very important to be brief. You have to be brief when you are writing a mail. Okay, so get straight to the point with your reason for writing. That's very important. So be brief, then be clear. Okay, then avoid dense paragraph. Always try to be short, means use shorter paragraphs. Then plan. If you are writing a longer emails, so better to have a plan, then that help you to focus on the objective of your email and keep your ideas linked and concise. So if you are writing a longer email, it's better to have a plan. Then you have to avoid dense paragraph. Then be accurate in the sense, use a spell check to eliminate spelling and errors. So be accurate while writing a email. Then delete previous mails. So it is better to use it is better to delete previous mails, and instead you can refer the parts of previous emails and delete the previous one. Then use a plain background. Always stick to use a plain white background. That's better. Okay. And it is better to use black text on white background. That is uh, very important. You have to focus on that and stick to plain white background. That's very important. Some people might use patterns or motif in the body of an email that risks making you look childish and immature. So be sure to use plain background, white background. Okay. Then be polite. That's very important. And avoid writing sarcastic or angry comments, and always be polite. These are some guidelines for writing emails. Then how to start an email. So you don't need to write dear, especially if you are writing to people within your company. It is not necessary to write dear, or you can do that. And if you are writing to people outside your company, it is better to use dear to create a friendly tone. Okay. Then ending of an email. So you can use this kind of words to end an email. Best wishes, kind regards, thanks and regards, yours sincerely, yours. Okay. Then capital letters. So you have to be very careful when you are using capital letters. Use capital letters only where it is necessary. So such as for names, places, and days of the week. You have to use capital letters if it is necessary. Okay, otherwise it will be like you are shouting that person. Okay, unnecessary usages of capital letters looks like you are shouting at your reader or recipient. So it's better to use capital letters if it is necessary. Then abbreviations. So some email writers abbreviate as much as possible to make the recipient difficult to understand what they are writing. So one thing that you have to remember is, don't use too many abbreviations. Okay, don't use too many abbreviations. So if you are using too many abbreviations, what happens is that the recipient can't understand what you are writing. Okay, so avoid using WLD for would, PLSE for please, THKS for thanks, etc. Because it's look like you don't bother to write words out in full. So don't use too many abbreviations. But there are some standard abbreviations. You can use that standard abbreviations in your emails. That's okay. Like ASAP. ASAP means as soon as possible. Instead of writing as soon as possible in mails, you can write ASAP. Then etc, it's etc means etc. Then that is to say, for example, and regarding. So these are some kind of some standard abbreviations. You can use the standard abbreviations in mails, but avoid using these kind of abbreviations that looks like you are not bothered to write words in full. Okay, so don't use too many abbreviations. That's very important. You have to be sure to use a standard abbreviations. Okay. Then language of email, it's very important. I told you in letters, it's the words and phrases, sentence, everything is longer. So when you are writing an email, you have to be focused on, be brief. You have to be concise. The language should be concise. So when you are writing a letter, for example, if you are writing, I regret to inform you. But when you are writing actually emails, instead of saying the same thing, I regret to inform you, you have to say, sorry to tell you. So you are actually shortening that thing. So sorry to tell you. So the language of emails always concise. That you have to remember, concise. So here is an example of how a person compose an email. So to is there, CC is there, BCC is there, subject line is there. Then you have to compose email. Okay, thank you. So study these things and try to understand the guidelines for writing emails, and try to create a new email compose a mail to your friend, and be familiar with these things. Okay, thank you.